Chapter 1471, Split Soul. Langya Blessed Land. Inside a secret room in a cloud city, Fang Yuan's soul came out of his body. His soul was already much stronger than before. He was at 70 million man soul level. Fang Yuan sacrificed his guts gu profits and used Yingwu Xie and the rest to farm souls. He used the two secluded domains of heaven and earth specialized in cultivating soul path. He naturally improved at a shocking speed like a rocket. I am 30 million man soul away from 100 million man soul. Fang Yuan evaluated his soul. It was clear and lifelike. His face was exquisite. His body size was normal. There was a light from deep within the soul that made people feel it was solid and pure. Rank 9 killer move Ghostly Concealment was like a silk inner garment sticking to his soul. Above it was a layer of Ghost Official Garment. The modified Immortal Killer move Ghost Official Garment used rank 7 Change Soul, Immortal Goo, and rank 6 Cleanse Soul, Immortal Goo as the cores. In the past, it was just a loose shirt. The sleeves were long and extended to his feet. The shirt was very thin. But as his soul foundation continued to increase, this Ghost Official Garment became thicker. Looking at it now, this Ghost Official Garment had changed forms. Not only did his loose shirt turn into a martial uniform, there was even a battle armor covering his shirt. It was a grand scene. This was the true appearance of the rank 7 Ghost Official Garment, Ghost General Garment. Earlier, because of the layer of ghostly concealment, Ghost Official Garment and his soul had a weakened connection. It became the rank 6 level Ghost Soldier Garment. But now that his soul foundation rose by many times, it regained its rank 7 power. But I am still a bit of distance away from the true Ghost General Garment. Fang Yuan looked at his back. The complete form of Ghost General Garment not only had the martial uniform, but also 3 war flags on his back. These flags were not evident now. But Fang Yuan's cultivation session today was not just to inspect his soul path gains. Even though his soul left his body's mind still had wills in it. They started to use an immortal killer move, Split Soul. This move came from Spectral Soul's true inheritance. After Fang Yuan modified it, he could use it. An intense pain assaulted Fang Yuan's soul. His soul suffered a huge injury. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth and his soul entered his body again. This was the first time he was activating the killer move Split Soul. Split Soul was different from usual killer moves. It needed the Gu Immortal's soul to leave the body and leave behind thoughts, wills, or emotions to manipulate Gu worms. It was harder to use than normal immortal killer moves. After the activation failed, Fang Yuan wordlessly used Guts Gu to heal himself, that if Split Soul succeeded, he would not feel any pain in splitting his soul. It would be as easy as drinking water. But if he failed, the consequences would be severe. His soul would directly collapse under normal situations. Thus, Gu Immortals with weak soul foundations could not blindly use this move. It would be suicide. Fang Yuan only started to try this after reaching 10 million man soul. Right now, his sword path killer moves were already modified. He had become familiar with them. He started to modify the soul path killer moves and practice them. Other than Split Soul, there was also Soul Suppression, Soul Howl, Soul Explosion, Devour Soul, Soul Replacement, Soul Beast Summoning, and others. Fang Yuan did not have many soul path immortal Gu. He could use these moves again, but the effects would be greatly lowered. What decided Fang Yuan's upper limit of battle strength was Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Be it soul path methods, sword path, or wisdom path, they were only meant to increase Fang Yuan's variety of moves. Modifying and practicing soul path killer moves used up a lot of Fang Yuan's time and energy. And for his immortal aperture development, Fang Yuan decided his focus that he thought about it and chose the dragonfish. Firstly, the dragonfish business had its foundation, and during this period, Fang Yuan accumulated a lot of dragonfish in his immortal aperture. He had a lot of stock. Secondly, Fang Yuan had involved himself in the dragonfish business and had experience before. It was not like the Yirgu business where he was a neophyte. Finally, dragonfish had transformation path and food path Dao marks. According to rumors, dragonfish were life forms created by a food path Gu Immortal. Fang Yuan had the most authentic food path inheritance now. There were many ways within it to breed dragonfish on a massive scale. Dragon Scale Sea Area. Fang Yuan first expanded this sea area again. He also modified the immortal goo formation in this sea area. A brand new immortal goo formation using rank 6 snack immortal goo, rank 7 dragon scale, rank 7 dragon breath, and rank 6 dragon strength as the cores, as well as 130,000 mortal goo as supplementary goo. Just by modifying this giant immortal formation, Fang Yuan spent 3 days. These 3 days, Fang Yuan did not sleep or rest. He was bathed in the light of wisdom. Constructing the immortal formation took him 12 days. Half a month later, Fang Yuan successfully raised this dragonfish resource point from a large-sized resource point to a giant resource point. This way, the dragonfish would breed even faster, and with the sovereign immortal aperture's rapid time flow, they would reproduce rapidly. Fang Yuan started to find new sellers for the dragonfish business. Langya sect was easily convinced. The Snowman tribe also agreed to purchase dragonfish from Fang Yuan at regular intervals. Western Desert's Xiao clan also became a large customer of Fang Yuan's dragonfish business due to their relationship with the regretful spiders as for Northern Plains Chu tribe. Chu Du secretly negotiated with Fang Yuan to create a 10-plus-year business agreement. The start was good, but next was the main activity. Fang Yuan placed these dragonfish into treasure yellow heaven. He naturally placed different wills in and changed his identity. People could not find out who he was. This time, Fang Yuan used a different strategy from the Yirgu business. Fang Yuan had a decisive advantage in the Yirgu business. He could charge in with brute force and destroy all of his obstacles. But in terms of dragonfish, Fang Yuan's cost of raising them was not any cheaper, even though he had good methods. Thus, this time, he slowly increased the scale of his dragonfish sale. He was purposely doing this. There was little commotion, and treasure yellow heaven was the same as usual. Fang Yuan cultivated as he quietly observed the market trend. Eastern Sea. Gu Immortal Yuchan was holding onto a dragonfish and observing it. Under the lantern, her beautiful face was solemn as she frowned. She carefully inspected the dragonfish for several times before placing it in her immortal aperture, sighing softly to herself. Who knows where this person came from? They are really strong. Not only are their dragonfish really outstanding, there is also an unceasing stock coming from them. Yuchan was the #1 seller for the dragonfish business in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The Yirgu business had 3 big sellers, but the dragonfish business was led by Yuchan alone. She was far above the other Gu Immortals. She had been the #1 for decades. On one hand, she was a waterpath Gu Immortal. She had a natural advantage in raising dragonfish. On the other hand, she occupied the famous dragonfish sea area. This was a natural breeding ground. The scale was massive. Yuchan not only produced dragonfish in her immortal aperture, she even occupied an area in Eastern Sea. With both production grounds, her dragonfish stock was unsurmountable. Other than these external factors, Yuchan was a cautious person with many acquaintances. She could acutely observe people and had very perceptive senses. Yuchan naturally had her special traits too. Be able to dominate the dragonfish business. This time, Fang Yuan secretly increased the stock of his dragonfish and was immediately sensed by Yuchan. Yuchan bought a batch of dragonfish from Fang Yuan, and after observing them, she realized that Fang Yuan was a huge foe. Yuchan placed a lot of attention on it and immediately tried to probe Fang Yuan's background. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. But even though she tried to disguise as a buyer and wanted to probe information from him, Fang Yuan's will left behind no flaws. Even when Yuchan expressed her will to communicate with Fang Yuan did not show up. After several days, Yuchan felt increasing pressure. She found that Fang Yuan's stock was gradually increasing. And in Treasure Yellow Heaven's market, there were already many Gu Immortals observing this change. Even though Fang Yuan did not create a commotion, Yuchan was starting to feel greater pressure. I cannot continue like this. Yuchan could not wait anymore. She left the dragonfish sea area. She did not fly, she was swimming. After several hundred li, she found an undercurrent. Yuchan went into the undercurrent and used this natural phenomenon to accelerate her journey. This was Eastern Sea's special trait. The other 4 regions did not have it. Chapter 1472, Feng Yuan's Engagement. Yuchan was a waterpath Gu Immortal to begin with. She used the undercurrent to travel. It was faster than normal Gu Immortals flying. She went through many undercurrents. After some days, Yuchan arrived in Nangong Clan Sea territory. Nangong Clan was a righteous path superforce of Eastern Sea. After Yuchan came to their territorial border, she stopped and landed on a nameless island. She was here in Nangong Clan to seek help. She had already used information path methods to inform him. Before coming as expected, Yuchan did not wait long. A Nangong Clan Gu immortal was waiting for her. Fairy Yuchan, Master Hua sent me here to welcome you. He is already waiting at Hua Chiao Pavilion. The Nangong Clan Gu immortal was very respectful. He did not display the prideful nature of a super force member done on one hand. He only had rank 6 cultivation level, while Yuchan was rank 7. On another hand, Yuchan was a lone cultivator but had many connections. She was also one of the 6 publicly recognized great fairies in Eastern Sea. Her reputation was well known. The Nangong Clan Gu immortal had to give her ample respect. Thank you. Yuchan smiled lightly. She instantly made the Nangong Clan Gu immortal's heart beat faster. Fairy, follow me. The Nangong Clan Gu immortal regained his cool and led the way. Yuchan entered the sea along with him into the undercurrent. After several transitions, Yuchan saw an immortal Gu house in the sea. This immortal Gu house was specially constructed. There was a pavilion in the center. There were stone tables and chairs in it. A Gu immortal was brewing tea. Yuchan followed the Nangong Clan Gu immortal to enter the pavilion. The man inside smiled as he said, Fairy Yuchan, you came from afar, so RRY that I could not welcome you. Yuchan smiled. Huan, you are one of the 3 wisdom path experts in Eastern Sea. What can I do if you act so arrogantly? Yuchan and Hua were very good friends. They were just playing with each other. The truth was, Huan was originally a Hua Clan Gu immortal, but due to certain reasons, he left Hua Clan. Hua Clan was a righteous path superforce. While escaping, Huan obtained Yuchan's help. The two became good friends. After that, Nangong Clan took in Huan, and he cultivated until he became reputed in Eastern Sea for wisdom path. There was a poem about it. Jia Dan sits in Twin Polar, Huan hides in Nangong. There is also Dragon Head Tortoise, living inside Adversity Sea. The second verse was talking about him. Huan, even though Huan was in Nangong Clan, he was threatened by Hua Clan. All along, he had faced their assassination attempts multiple times. Thus, he usually stayed inside Nangong Clan's headquarters and rarely went out. Now that he took the risk to meet Yuchan, it displayed his sincerity. Yuchan knew about Huan's predicaments. She was satisfied that he met with her. She even felt a little joyful. Huan laughed before pointing. Fairy, take a seat. Yuchan did not stand on ceremony. She sat down and drank tea before sighing. The tea is good, but my heart is full of worries. I cannot appreciate it fully. Huan nodded. Tell me in detail. Fairy, I will do my best to plan for you and resolve your worries. Yuchan was drinking tea, while Fang Yuan drank wine, but he was not drinking ordinary wine. This was engagement wine, and this engagement wine was not anyone else's but his own. Congratulations, Lord Fang Yuan and Fairy Shui. It is truly wonderful that both of you lovers could get together. Ha ha ha. Bing Zhuo laughed loudly as he spoke and toasted. Fang Yuan smiled and raised his cup in response. He looked around the place. This hall had 2 or 3 banquet tables. They were all filled with Gu immortals. Most of them were variant human Gu immortals. There were snowmen, hairy men, ink men, and rock men. Other than that, there was the Shadow Sect members led by Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing was not among them. Fang Yuan had rank 8 battle strength. This was his engagement ceremony. He had an important status in the Northern Plains Variant Human Alliance. Almost all their Gu immortals joined in. The Snowman Gu immortals cheered, while the Rockman Gu immortals had stiff expressions. This engagement ceremony was a good thing for the Snowman tribe, but for the Rockmen, seeing their neighbor that had been suppressed gaining a rank 8 battle strength was simply a huge nightmare. Elder Bing Yuan, you really did something amazing. I am truly impressed. I am very, very impressed. At the banquet, the Rockman First Supreme Elder Shizong said in a grim tone towards Bing Yuan. Bing Yuan was the grandmother of Shui. She was the one who initiated and planned the marriage with Fang Yuan. They had finally seen some results now. This is the blessing of my granddaughter, Sai. To speak the truth, our tribe is the unworthy party. Bing Yuan pretended not to notice Shizong's mocking tone and responded while looking at the main table. Over there, Fang Yuan was sitting at the main seat. Shui Er was close beside him, having an uneasy expression. Bing Yuan sighed. She seemed to be having a glamorous time, but she was internally worried. This was not the wedding that she wanted. It was merely an engagement ceremony. Bing Yuan could fully feel Fang Yuan's shrewdness. Just this engagement ceremony alone made the snowman pay a hefty price. This was her negotiation with Fang Yuan. After many difficult negotiations, they finally obtained this result. Both sides gave in a little. Fang Yuan obtained a new batch of resources. The snowman could finally make use of Fang Yuan's authority. But to get this Fang Yuan to become one of us, such a person, did I do the right thing? Bing Yuan thought about her discussion with Fang Yuan as she started doubting this entire thing. But on the surface, Bing Yuan did not show any emotions. She smiled and interacted in the banquet. It was a great atmosphere. Eastern Sea. Huan had a look of shame as he said to Yuchan, "Fairy, I have disappointed you. I could not deduce this person's background. Even you, Master Hua, could not." Yuchan felt very surprised. Huan had a solemn expression. Firstly, just simply having the dragonfish clues make it hard to deduce. Secondly, this person has a killer move to conceal themselves that resists wisdom path deductions. Yuchan heard this and felt even more alerted. The other party had wisdom path methods to defend against deductions, but she did not. The enemy had it, but she did not. They either came prepared or had a force behind them. No matter which one, it showed that the enemy was very powerful. Don't tell me the other party's wisdom path attainment is even greater than yours. You are one of the 3 greatest wisdom path experts in Eastern Sea. You could not deduce it. Yuchan was unresigned. Fairy, you are mistaken. Wisdom path is different from water path. In this scene, it is like a river. The enemy has set up a dam at the narrowest part. No matter how wide the river is, after this dam, the water would become shallow and slow. We wisdom path Gu immortals can create huge waves in deep rivers, but after this crucial dam, we cannot use any of our abilities. The effort is not worth the results. Huan explained patiently. Thinking that Yuchan was a water path cultivator, he used water as an analogy. Not just me. Any other wisdom path Gu immortal will not succeed in the deduction unless they break this layer of defense. Even though this defense is only at rank 6 level. Yuchan was distressed. She did not know much about wisdom path. In fact, most Gu immortals did not know about wisdom path details. On one hand, wisdom path Gu immortals had always been rare. On the other hand, wisdom path Gu immortals who knew about wisdom path profundities would not want to tell the world about their specific details and inheritances. Yuchan originally thought that with Huan's help, she would be able to find Fang Yuan's information, but to think that she failed here. But the more this was the case, the more Yuchan did not want to give up. Huan understood her personality. Yuchan was not only beautiful, she also had the tenacity of water. She could reach her status and gain such accomplishments due to her hard work. Thus, Huan suggested, we can probe even further. As long as we have more information and clues, I will have a greater chance of getting past his defenses. Even if one clue is minor, if we have a lot of them, we will eventually find our way to success. Yuchan nodded. Wait a moment. She immediately sent her consciousness into treasure yellow heaven as she looked for Fang Yuan's will. Her earlier probes did not succeed, but now she still wanted to try. Yuchan, stop trying to test me. I am interested in the dragonfish business, or rather, I definitely want to be involved in this business. Fang Yuan's will told Yuchan immediately. Yuchan was shocked. Her expression changed. Her consciousness returned to her body, and she informed Huan's expression changed too. I'm afraid he has a huge background. I am the #1 person in the dragonfish business. How can someone competing with me have no background? Yuchan rolled her eyes at Huan shook his head. He had a solemn expression. I am talking about his wisdom path attainment. My earlier deduction was noticed by him, and he did a reverse deduction on us. That's how he found out your identity. I was already very careful, but he could actually deduce your identity with such limited information. His wisdom path attainment is definitely not lower than mine. In fact, it could be higher. Is that so? Yuchan was shocked yet again. She did not expect that after finding Huan for help, not only did he fail to find out their background, she even got exposed in advance. Chapter 1473, myriad gold wondrous essence physique. The banquet was extremely lively. This engagement ceremony had an extremely heavy political impact, not only for the variant human alliance, but also for Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not reject any of the toasts from the variant human Gu immortals. With his interpersonal skills, he greatly improved his relationship with all the variant human Gu immortals. Fang Yuan's original status was quite awkward. He was a purebred human. Inside the variant human alliance, he was a loner by nature. The variant humans were suspicious towards Fang Yuan from the start, but this time, Fang Yuan had an engagement with Shui Air. The feeling was different now. He had squeezed his way into the variant human Gu immortal circle. Before this, he was only part of Langya's sect. Of course, the true reason is because I have rank 8 battle strength. Fang Yuan was crystal clear about this, that I in the Gu master world, an entity could rule above the group. As long as one had high cultivation level and battle strength, they would be unstoppable. If she knew I had rank 8 battle strength, would Yuchan have backed off? Fang Yuan suddenly had a thought in his mind. The dragonfish business was Fang Yuan's next focus in his immortal aperture development. If Yuchan backed off now, it would be perfect for Fang Yuan. But unfortunately, Yuchan would not do that. Fang Yuan shook his head secretly. Yuchan was currently one of the beneficiaries. It was too difficult to get her to give up her share of the cake. In Treasure Yellow Heaven, even rank 6 Gu immortals dared to contest rank 8 Gu immortals openly in business, or even provoke them. Treasure Yellow Heaven was a place not even Heavenly Court could take over. Yuchan. Eastern Seas, 6 Beauties. Myriad gold wondrous essence physique. Fang Yuan entertained the guests as he thought in his mind. Others did not know Yuchan's secret, but after gaining Shadow Sect's inheritance, Fang Yuan learned about many crucial details. One of them stated that Yuchan had one of the 10 extreme physiques, the myriad gold wondrous essence physique. This was Yuchan's greatest secret. She had hidden it well, but Shadow Sect had a specialized method to search for the 10 extreme physiques. In order to refine sovereign immortal fetus Gu, Shadow Sect needed to gather all 10 extreme physiques. During this process, they found out about Yuchan's secret, but back then, Shadow Sect already had the myriad gold wondrous essence physique. So they did not target Yuchan.As for why Yuchan had the myriad gold wondrous essence physique, but cultivated water path. That was the difficulty faced by lone cultivators. Yuchan obtained a water path inheritance in the past. Without other options, she had to cultivate it solely. And later, it was too hard to change paths due to the risks involved. Yuchan thus went on with it until now. Fang Yuan could deduce that Yuchan was deducing him because he had a lot of information about her. He knew that she was his biggest competition in the dragonfish business. On the other hand, Fang Yuan had Ghost Official Garment and many of Purple Mountain True Monarch's killer moves. He even had the methods from Shadow Sect and Langya Sect as for the myriad gold wondrous essence physique. It was written in The Legends of Rin Zhu, Chapter 4, Section 27. Legend says that the mini-man surpassed boundless forest samsara and persevered to build the ladder and made his way out of ordinary abyss. When the mini-man saw Rinzhu sighed. If he had perseverance Gu back then, he would have conquered Reverse Flow River and would not have created such a mess. Rinzhu wanted to save his children, but until now, he had not achieved anything. Rinzhu saw that the mini-man had perseverance Gu and gained new hope. He said to the mini-man, "Mini-man, oh mini-man, I need your help." The mini-man asked, "Oh Rinzhu, how do you want me to help you?" Rinzhu told the mini-man that he wanted to borrow and use perseverance Gu. The mini-man said, "Oh Rinzhu, the reason why I could leave ordinary abyss was because I used the trees that you planted. I chopped down those trees and built my ladder. Thus, I owe you a favor." The mini-man agreed to lend perseverance Gu to Rinzhu, but after Rinzhu gained perseverance Gu, he realized he could not use it. "This is the perseverance of the mini-man, not yours, Rinzhu." Cognition Gu appeared at this time and told Rinzhu this fact. Rinzhu was anguished. He sighed deeply. He asked Cognition Gu, "Then what should I do? I know that perseverance Gu can help me, but I cannot use it. I know the feathermen can help me, but love cannot control them." Cognition Gu told Rinzhu, "Nobody can force anyone to love them, but you can create a Gu to lure the feathermen into helping you do things." Think about it. How did the mini-man gain perseverance Gu? Cognition Gu's words were a huge inspiration to Renzu. Renzu was overjoyed. Oh, Cognition Gu, thank you for the great idea. I know what to do now. I want to create my own Gu. Cognition Gu was curious. What Gu is that? Renzu shook his head. I am not sure, but I have an idea. I want this Gu to be something everyone in the world wants. Thus, Renzu left ordinary abyss and went to the blue sea. This was the blue sea that formed life Gu. It was the source of all life in the world. Renzu had walked ashore from the blue sea. He was back here again. Renzu was thirsty. He scooped up the blue sea water and drank a few mouthfuls. He got more thirsty as he drank it, but Renzu was satisfied. I want to use the blue sea water to refine Gu. After I succeed, no matter who obtains it, they will never be satisfied. They will want more. Thus, Renzu took away a lot of blue sea water. After the sea level reduced, the beach was exposed. Renzu found that there were many sea urchin-like Gu on the beach. This was not life Gu. It was difficulty Gu. Any life would face difficulties. Renzu's eyes shone. He said, I want to refine Gu that everyone needs, but to obtain it, there will be difficulties. Thus, he took many difficulty Gu. After doing all these, Renzu left the blue sea and headed to the door of life and death. After entering it, Renzu did not go deeply into the door of life and death, but only walked one round around the road of life. He gathered a lot of worry Gu as he said, I want to refine Gu that after getting it, people will not abandon easily. They will be worried that it will go missing. After leaving the door of life and death, along the way, Renzu met with sadness Gu. Renzu laughed happily. Excellent. I want to refine Gu in which once people lose it, they will be very sad. This way, people will not abandon it easily. Thus, he collected the sadness Gu. Renzu had gathered everything. He started to refine Gu. The flames of the Gu refinement raged on. A lot of black smoke was produced, attracting many Gu and life forms to come and watch. Oh Renzu, what Gu are you trying to refine? Stupidity Gu was lured here as it asked curiously. Renzu smiled. Oh Stupidity Gu, if you want to know, go into the fire and see for yourself. Stupidity Gu went inside and never came out again. Not long after, Wisdom Gu came here as well. It asked, Oh Renzu, what are you trying to refine? Renzu laughed. Oh Wisdom Gu, if you want to know, go into the fire and see for yourself. Wisdom Gu flew in too, but it only flew into the black smoke. Once its vision was obscured, it flew around randomly and flew out again. Renzu, oh Renzu, I was almost deceived by you. I already know what you are refining. I am leaving. Saying this, Wisdom Gu flew away. Renzu felt that it was a pity, he sighed. This way, after my Gu is refined, it can enslave stupid people and blind wise people for some time. Days passed one by one that the Gu refinement flame continued to burn, but he did not succeed. The black smoke did not fade away. It gathered in the sky and created huge black clouds. Oh Renzu, you must have felt it. We are just one step away. This final step is the most crucial one. Cognition Gu said. Renzu nodded. He stood up with determination and walked towards the fire. It seems that this Gu needs to be created with human hands. Saying so, Renzu chopped off both hands and threw them into the fire. Boom! The flame exploded as the endless dark clouds in the sky faded. Under the golden sunlight that shone down, a little girl appeared before Renzu. Oh Father, thank you for giving life to me. I am Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence. The girl was radiating an aura of prosperity. She smiled towards Renzu. Renzu looked at her and laughed. Ha! I have another daughter now. But wait, did my Gu refinement succeed? Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence opened her right palm as she held the Gu towards Renzu. Look, Father, this is the Gu that you refined. It is called Wealth. Chapter 1474, Wealth Gu. Western Desert. This was a desert. The terrain was flat and endless towards the horizon. There was a cracked, rocky terrain with no vegetation growing. But deep underground, it was another world. There was a huge mine built in an area full of natural 100,000 rockmen were living here as miners, excavating all sorts of materials for Gu immortals. This was the famous Myriad or Desert in Western Desert. It was in the control of the Super Force Sure clan. The ore here were of various types and had huge quantity. other than the mortal resources excavated by the rockmen. A lot of the immortal or needed goo immortals to excavate themselves. Like the subterranean adamantite, it was the hardest rank 6 immortal material, or the dark inkstone. Even the ancient sword dragon's claws could not leave a mark on it. And deep below this myriad or desert, there was a huge gold fragment river current. The gold fragment current was a metallic river in immemorial yellow heaven. A fragment of the immemorial yellow heaven had fallen into the myriad or desert back then. The immemorial yellow heaven fragment was once a land of treasures explored by goo immortals and goo masters. But as time passed and eras changed, the fragment got smaller and smaller before dissipating, in the process of dissipating. The Tao marks that left it turned the surrounding desert into the myriad or desert. And this gold fragment current was part of that fragment in the past. It had not dried up even until today. Fang Yuan's mini yellow heaven also had a gold fragment current, but it was very small. It was like an ant compared to the myriad or desert's gold fragment current. And in this huge gold fragment current, there was an immortal goo formation. The goo formation had been active all the time, monitoring the myriad or desert and controlling the countless rockmen miners. Boom! Suddenly, there was a huge explosion as a blinding light emerged from the immortal formation. A crack was created in it as a door opened. Thick smoke came out from within the door. Cough, cough. From the colorful smoke, a rockman goo immortal walked out. But as he walked out, the rock skin on him fell off as his true identity was revealed. He was a pure-bred human goo immortal. He was middle-aged and had a mature gaze. His appearance was ordinary. He seemed like an easygoing person. Right now, he was covered in soot as he coughed. The 89th goo refinement failed as well. The middle-aged goo immortal sighed as he coughed out blood. The blood clumps he coughed out were very special. After landing on the ground, they turned into all sorts of jewels. There were pearls, agate, jade, gold, silver, bronze, and more. If Fang Yuan was here, he would be shocked if he saw this. Even with his knowledge, what was the reason this middle-aged goo immortal suffered such a weird injury? The middle-aged goo immortal looked at the jewels around him as he had a peaceful appearance, not feeling surprised, because he knew what he was doing. He was refining wealth goo. Wealth goo. It was a legendary goo written in The Legends of Rinzhu. According to Rinzhu's biography, it was made from blue sea water, Rinzhu's hands, worry goo, difficulty goo, sadness goo, wisdom goo, and stupidity goo. However, it was basically impossible for the goo immortal to refine this goo according to that recipe now. This was not just because it was a story, but because a lot of details were subtle and not literal. And these materials were already extinct in the current world. Fang Yuan had rank 9 wisdom goo even though it was not refined by him yet. But the blue sea was already missing. How could anyone find blue sea water? Even if they had it. What about Rinzhu's hands? Then why was this middle-aged goo immortal trying to refine wealth goo? It was the usual saying, man is the spirit of all living beings. Goo is the essence of heaven and earth. Humans could create countless recipes to refine an immortal goo. The method in The Legends of Rinzhu could not be used, but the goo immortal could modify the recipe themselves. This middle-aged goo immortal cultivated earth path, but he had a fortuitous encounter in his early days. He obtained an incomplete immortal goo recipe. It was unknown who was that person who left this incomplete recipe of wealth goo in his research to refine it. The middle-aged goo immortal obtained it and treated it as his treasure because he knew that it was a precious goo recipe, and the predecessor's contribution was huge. If he worked on this recipe, he could likely refine wealth goo. From this wealth goo recipe, the predecessor managed to deduce the effect of wealth goo. If he could refine wealth goo, he would be able to turn it into anything in this world. That thing could be gold, silver, or bronze. It could be rank 6 immortal material, or even rank 9 immortal material. But wealth goo could not turn into any living being, including animals, plants, humans, variant humans, and goo. If I refine wealth goo, I will be able to turn it into any immortal material in the world. It is a hugely profitable business. I only need to convert it into an extinct goo material to gain immense wealth. I can even increase my cultivation foundation and surpass the entire Shur clan. The middle-aged goo immortal was extremely moved. He wanted to refine wealth goo desperately. He did not tell anyone about this. He was afraid of people's greed. This middle-aged Gu immortal was Shizhong. Shi clan was a righteous path superforce in Western Desert. Shizhong had an awkward position in Shi clan. Even though he had rank 7 cultivation level, he was ostracized by Shi clan's Gu immortals. There was a historical reason for this. Shizhong's father betrayed the clan and caused huge losses to them, not just in resources but also Gu immortals' lives. Thus, since a young age, Shizhong had not been well treated by the Shi clan Gu immortals in order to gain trust. Shizhong changed his name to Shizhong, Sup, 1/Sup, to express his loyalty to the clan. But that did not change anything. He was sent away by Shi clan's first supreme elder to defend this myriad or desert. This place had abundant resources, but it bordered other super forces that were enemies of Shi clan. Shizhong was in great danger here. And there was little profits to be gained because this immortal formation was monitored the entire time. It was so strict Shizhong had no chance to do anything. The truth was, even if it was not strict, Shizhong would not try anything. If he was found out, his circumstances would be much worse. Precisely so, Shizhong held great anticipation towards wealth Gu. The basis of Gu immortal cultivation is the management of one's immortal aperture. Without deep assets and foundation, no matter how much your battle strength is, that is only temporary. It is like building a skyscraper on a ground of sand. Shizhong had this realization. He had been working hard. Even though the process was tough, he had never given up. Thinking about his Gu immortal cultivation journey, other than preparing for the necessary tribulations, he had invested all of his resources into the project of refining wealth Gu. 89 failures. I do not have enough humans now. Shizhong healed his injuries and checked his inventory. He realized that his human Gu material was insufficient. He had to collect more. Shizhong was a righteous path Gu immortal, but he actually used humans as Gu material. That was a demonic act. But as long as he kept it a secret, nobody would know. Shizhong did not leave any evidence behind. Nobody could target him. Shizhong was very cautious in this. He would not let anyone find any clues to his actions. The human slaves that he bought were all from Treasure Yellow Heaven. They were very safe purchases. I am using humans in place of the blue sea water in Wealth Gu's recipe, as well as Rinzu's hands. This is not wrong. But was it not enough? Do I need to add in lifespan Gu as well? Shizhong considered that he had lifespan Gu, but he did not dare to waste them. The Legends of Rinzu wrote that even though wisdom Gu was not sacrificed like stupidity Gu, it was part of the refinement process. I do not have wisdom Gu. I used other wisdom path Gu worms in place of it. I can improve upon this aspect. Worry Gu, difficulty Gu, sadness Gu. Shizhong had all of these mortal Gu. They were not hard to get. He could even refine stupidity Gu himself. The Gu recipe is getting more and more complete. Shizhong healed his injuries and inspected the blood he spat on the ground. His blood had turned into jewels and ore. Chapter 1475, Heavenly Secret Gu Refined. Shizhong had been immersed in this for a long time. He could tell that he had improved by observing his blood clumps. Even though I improved this time, I am still far from success. There are a few missing steps. I need to work harder. Shizhong was very experienced in this. He had a strong instinct developing that he calculated, and it was time to feed his immortal Gu again. Shizhong inherited his family's inheritance. He had multiple immortal Gu. That made the other Shi clan Gu immortals very envious. It was a pity that taking over the inheritance had rules and could not be broken. Shizhong owning these immortal Gu was also a reason why he was targeted and ostracized by other Shi clan Gu immortals. He inspected his inventory and felt a huge headache. It is a little troublesome. I lack some food. I forgot that when refining wealth Gu, because I was missing some materials, I sold some of the food for my immortal Gu that I had prepared earlier. At this time, it is too difficult to gather more food. I should buy some dragonfish in place of the food and feed my immortal Gu first. Thinking of this, Shizhong did not hesitate. His consciousness went into Treasure Yellow Heaven. Dragonfish. He had a clear objective. He found that many Gu immortals were selling dragonfish as a buyer. He had to compare the goods of multiple sellers. The dragonfish business was not like year Gu. It was sold all year round. Because dragonfish bred in all seasons, its market was lively at all times. Shizhong first went to Yu Chan's stall as everyone knew. Yu-chan was the #1 dragonfish seller in Treasure Yellow Heaven. But she did not sell only dragonfish. She also sold other products, though primarily fish species.I in the past. When Shizhong wanted to buy dragonfish, he would get them from Yu-chan because her reputation made her very trustworthy that if things went as expected, he would buy dragonfish from her. This time as well. After seeing Yu-chan's goods, Shizhong did not buy them yet. He went to look around and he soon found Fang Yuan's stall. Someone is selling dragonfish here too? There is quite a high quantity. Shizhong looked around and felt quite surprised. He inspected and found that the dragonfish sold here were high in quantity and quality. They were on par with Yu-chan's dragonfish. And this stall seems more popular too. Shizhong looked around. There were several Gu immortal wills here, as well as some divine senses communicating here. To think that after being in secluded cultivation for so long, the dragonfish business in Treasure Yellow Heaven has a new strong contender. Shizhong was thinking when a Gu immortal went to him and spoke. Friend, you are here to buy dragonfish too? Why don't we buy it together? It will be cheaper. This divine sense said. Oh? What is going on? Shizhong asked. That divine sense explained. You do not know? The dragonfish seller here has different rules. As long as you purchase beyond a certain quantity, the price will be lower. There are several classifications, but the point is that the more you buy, the cheaper it is. Shizhong heard this and praised in his mind. This method is great. Next, he thought of himself. Maybe I can use this method when I sell things in the future. Shizhong considered it and felt the brilliance of this method. Even though it was essentially a drop in prices, with a higher quantity sold, the overall profits would still increase. Compared to the year Gu price war earlier, this method was much more subtle and profound. Using this method not only makes the sales of the dragonfish higher, it can raise their reputation. If someone really wants to buy dragonfish, to make it cheaper, they will invite their friends or even strangers to buy it together. It is a form of publicity for the seller. Shizhong kept thinking about it. He felt that the dragonfish seller truly had amazing ideas. No wonder the Gu immortal stall here has more people compared to that #1 seller. There might be proxies here set by the seller, not here to buy dragonfish, but only existing to create a crowd. Shizhong instantly felt interest about this seller. Forget it. I will buy it from here. The price is cheaper after all. Thinking about this, Shizhong communicated with the unknown immortal and worked together. Both sides were very happy. After both sides negotiated, they purchased 100,000 dragonfish together. After the purchase, they split the goods in Treasure Yellow Heaven and returned satisfied, setting aside how Shizhong is going to feed his immortal Gu. The Gu immortal who cooperated with Shizhong immediately left Treasure Yellow Heaven after getting the goods and returned to the sovereign. Immortal aperture. Shizhong guessed right. The person who bought it with him was a proxy. They were not Fang Yuan, but one of the other Gu immortals from Shadow Sect. Even if people could guess this, how could they prove it in Treasure Yellow Heaven? There was no way. Actually, this was not a method invented by Fang Yuan. Shizhong had been focused on Gu refinement and did not pay much attention to Treasure Yellow Heaven. This method had been used by people long ago. The novelty of the idea was not important. Only the effect mattered. Ignoring anything else, Fang Yuan was very successful at doing this. These last days, as he increased the quantity of his goods in Treasure Yellow Heaven, he had gotten much more attention that a huge quantity represented his capabilities. Buyers were naturally more willing to buy from a more reliable seller. On the other hand, Fang Yuan used the appropriate method to sell them. His reputation was slowly climbing. Fang Yuan's dragonfish were of high quality. With the food path immortal formation, their quality would only continue to increase. Initially, there were few Gu immortals who bought from him, and they only bought a few each time. But gradually, more and more Gu immortals bought dragonfish from him. The quantity sold was rapidly increasing as well. In fact, he was getting recurring customers. As Fang Yuan's greatest dragonfish business competitor, Eastern Seas Yu-chan, was still selling her dragonfish calmly, without any commotion. Yu-chan's inaction is correct, because in the short term, my method cannot threaten her. In fact, if she tries to use a similar tactic, it would greatly erode her earnings. After all, she is selling much more dragonfish than me. Fang Yuan thought to himself. Yu-chan was acting very calmly in this situation. She had a great disposition, but after a while, she will start getting worried. Fang Yuan was very confident. The food path immortal formation he created only used a few immortal goo and some immortal essence to use. It was extraordinary, but this method needed at least several, or even a dozen generations of dragonfish breeding to see effect. Yuchan was not anxious, neither was Fang Yuan. The longer this dragged on, the greater his advantage in the dragonfish business. After retrieving his divine sense from treasure yellow heaven, Fang Yuan came to the goo refinement hall and saw Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair was thin and haggard. In order to refine goo for Fang Yuan, he had gone all out. He was exhausted both mentally and physically. Now, he was at the final step of Heavenly Secret Goo's refinement. It was time for Fang Yuan to act. White light filled the goo refinement hall. Nobody could open their eyes in such intense light. Fang Yuan shut his eyes and entered the white light. He stopped when he got to the center. An intense aura assaulted him. It was neither mortal nor immortal. It was in between, at the final step before a qualitative change. We can start now. Fang Yuan cleared his mind as he transmitted to Sixth Hair. After counting down, Sixth Hair deactivated the refinement path immortal formation in the hall. Fang Yuan immediately took over. Countless thoughts emerged from his mind. He used wisdom path methods concurrently. He took over the immortal formation successfully. Under his hard work, the surrounding white light condensed and formed into a huge ring. The ring was parallel to the ground. It surrounded Fang Yuan with him in the center. Refinement path killer move. Heavenly light ring. The first rotation. Fang Yuan willed as the ring started to rotate slowly. The first rotation succeeded. At the second rotation, Fang Yuan opened his eyes and used his gaze to move the ring. It started to rotate even faster. After several minutes, the second rotation succeeded, and at the third rotation, Fang Yuan used his breath to move the ring. After a moment, he succeeded. The fourth, fifth, and sixth rotations also succeeded as time passed. Fang Yuan was at the final seventh rotation. It seems that sect leader put in a lot of effort after that failure. Sixth Hair watched from the side with anxiety. He sighed. Seventh rotation. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth and did his best to rotate the ring. Right now, the ring had already shrunk to basin size. It floated above his head. Boom! With a soft sound, the ring shrunk into a tiny speck. This was a goo. Rank 7 Heavenly Secret goo landed on Fang Yuan's head. I actually succeeded. Even the person himself, Fang Yuan, was surprised that he failed the first refinement, but actually succeeded on the second try. After his surprise, Fang Yuan felt intense joy. Maybe it was because I used luck path methods and had really good luck. Fang Yuan took Heavenly Secret goo down from his head and looked at it. This immortal goo resembled a dragonfly, but upon closer inspection, it looked more like a twig. The entire Heavenly Secret immortal goo was very long. It was half the length of an adult arm. Its body was thin and long like a twig. It was very soft. There were 7 feathered wings on each of its 2 sides. They were thin and green, resembling leaves. It was flying casually in the air, or rather, it was so slow it looked like it was floating. Fang Yuan observed it for a while before letting out a breath of air, sighing. I finally refined Heavenly Secret immortal goo.